What if I told you that preventing cancer isn't just about your genes or plain old bad luck? What if it's actually a series of deliberate, powerful choices that you get to make every single day? Well, that's what we're going to get into. We're about to completely change how you look at your dinner plate, turning it from a potential minefield into your body's first line of metabolic defense.
Look, I know that sounds a little over the top, but the science here is crystal clear. So many common foods that we eat without even thinking about it can have hidden dangers, ones that can silently fuel disease. And I'm not just talking about the obvious junk food. I'm talking about things that a lot of us think are perfectly harmless.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? And the answer is pretty simple. You fight it by turning on the lights. Think of this explainer as your flashlight. We're going to identify these invisible threats in our diet, and way more importantly, we're going to learn exactly how to disarm them.
All right, so the first thing you do in any battle is you cut the enemy's supply lines. It's strategy 101. And when it comes to cancer, those supply lines run straight through our kitchens. So we need to get smart and understand the specific foods that are acting as fuel and reinforcements for these rogue cells.
Okay, our first target. And this is something that, honestly, most of us have probably never even heard of, which is kind of wild, because it's officially classified as a Group 1 carcinogen. We're talking about something called aflatoxins, an invisible mold that can pop up in some of our favorite pantry staples.
So here's the deal with these aflatoxins. They love to grow on crops like peanuts and corn, especially when they're stored in warm, humid places. You know, like those big bulk bins you see at the grocery store? Well, when you eat them, your liver, which is your body's main filtration system, has to deal with them. But here's the catch. In the very process of trying to break them down, the toxin directly damages the DNA of the liver cells themselves.
And this is the perfect way to think about it. Your liver is trying to be the hero and protect you, but the very act of grabbing onto this toxin causes serious, self-inflicted damage. And when that happens over and over again, it can lead to some really catastrophic errors in your liver's genetic code.
All right, let's move on to supply line number 2. And this one is everywhere. It's all about fuel. You see, cancer cells have this unique and absolutely ravenous appetite, and their favorite thing on the menu, by far, is sugar.
This comparison right here is absolutely key to understanding what's going on. A healthy cell is like a super efficient hybrid car. It sips fuel and uses oxygen to get the most energy possible. Now, cancer cell, it's the total opposite. It's a gas-guzzling monster truck. It uses this really inefficient process to ferment sugar for energy, something called the Warburg effect. This means it needs a constant, huge supply of glucose. And get this, it even grows way more insulin receptors just so it can suck up all that sugar faster than any of your healthy cells can.
But here's the thing, the sugar itself is only half the problem. When you eat a bunch of refined carbs or sugary stuff, your pancreas floods your system with insulin to handle all that glucose. But insulin does more than that. It's also a powerful growth signal. So if you're constantly spiking your blood sugar, your cells can actually start to ignore the insulin. It's like kinking a garden hose, right? The pressure builds up so your body just screams and pumps out even more insulin to try to get the job done.
So do you see what's happening here? This is so crucial. The high sugar provides the fuel, that's the gas, and the high insulin provides the command to grow, that's the green light. It is a devastating 1-2 punch that basically creates the perfect environment for cells to grow completely out of control.
Okay, for our third supply line, we're heading over the deli counter. And you've really got to understand this. A slice of turkey you roast at home is a completely different biochemical beast than a slice of deli ham. The real danger in things like bacon, sausage, and those other processed meats is all in how they're preserved.
Okay, so just follow this chain of events. To keep these meats looking all fresh and pink, manufacturers add nitrates. Now, inside your gut, these nitrates get converted into these nasty compounds called nitrosamines, and these things are basically a Trojan horse. They seem harmless enough, but once they get down into your colon, they turn into potent mutagens that directly attack and damage the DNA of your gut lining.
And get this, the numbers are just wow. A massive analysis, looking at over 800 studies, came to a startling conclusion. Eating just 50 grams of processed meat a day, we're talking less than 2 slices of bacon, can jack up your risk of colorectal cancer by a whopping 18%.
All right, next up, the oils we cook with. This one is huge. You know, the actual walls of every single one of your cells are built from the fats that you eat. So think about it. If you're building a house with crumbling, unstable bricks, what's going to happen to the walls? the same thing happens to our cells when we build them with these cheap, highly processed vegetable oils.
And this chart right here, it tells the whole story. For most of human history, we ate a pretty balanced ratio of these fats, the inflammatory omega-6s and the anti-inflammatory omega-3s, at about 1:1. But us, and our modern diet? Look at that. It's closer to 20:1. We are literally drowning our bodies in inflammatory oils like soy, corn, and sunflower oil, and it creates a constant state of inflammation.
And this is the absolute best way to picture what's happening. These unstable oils, they oxidize in our bodies. It's just like biological rust on a car. This rust triggers chronic inflammation. And guess what loves to grow in inflamed, damaged soil? Yep, cancer. Chronic inflammation creates the perfect fertile ground for it to take root.
Okay, our final supply line. This is a tough one for a lot of people, I get it. But the biochemistry here is it's undeniable. When you drink alcohol, your body doesn't just process it like any other food. It has to go into survival mode. It literally has to survive it.
So when your liver gets to work on that drink, it creates this really toxic byproduct called acetaldehyde. And this stuff is just plain nasty. It acts like a solvent, directly damaging cells. But here's the real kicker. It also messes with your body's ability to repair broken DNA. It's like it comes in, knocks out your DNA's security guards, and tells the repair crew to go home, leaving your genetic code totally vulnerable to damage.
Okay, wow. We've just laid out all the enemy's supply lines. And I know that can feel like a lot. It can be pretty overwhelming. But now we get to the good part, the empowering part. This is your battle plan. This is how we stop playing defense and go on the offense, by activating your body's own amazing defense systems.
The absolute cornerstone of our defense is this incredible process called autophagy. It literally means self-eating, and it is your body's own brilliant, built-in recycling program. When you activate it, your body starts seeking out and destroying old, broken, and even precancerous cells, melting them down for parts and energy. It is the ultimate cleanup brew.
So the million-dollar question is, how do we flip that switch and turn it on? Well, here it is. It's a simple 3-part strategy. First, compress your eating window. Just by giving your body a 12 to 16-hour break from food every day, you allow your insulin levels to drop low enough to trigger autophagy. Second, prioritize fiber. It slows down sugar from hitting your bloodstream and feeds the good gut bacteria that fight inflammation. And third, you starve the cancer while you feed the human. By lowering carbs and focusing on healthy fats and proteins, you deprive cancer cells of their favorite food while giving your healthy cells exactly what they need to thrive.
And this all leads to what might be the biggest mindset shift of all. This isn't about living in fear of every little thing you eat. It's about stewardship. It's about taking charge and controlling the internal environment of your body.
Look, we can't avoid every single carcinogen out there, and we can't change our genetics. Let's be real, random seeds are always going to land in the soil of our bodies. But here's what we can control. We can control the quality of the soil itself. We can choose not to water the weeds with sugar and inflammation. We can create an internal environment that is so robust and so inhospitable that those dangerous seeds can never, ever take root.
So you're probably thinking, okay, this is a lot. Where do I even begin? You start right here, with simple, easy wins. These aren't some massive life overhaul. Think of them as your first tactical maneuvers. Check your nuts for freshness. Maybe avoid those dusty bulk bins. Swap that processed deli meat for a real piece of chicken. Try to stop eating at least 3 hours before you go to bed, and make a simple switch to a stable cooking oil like olive or avocado oil. See? Small changes, big impact.
Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to this one simple idea. Every single meal, every single bite sends a signal to your body. It's a set of instructions. You can send a signal for chaos, growth, and inflammation, or you can send a signal for repair, stability, and health. The power to choose that signal is yours 3 times a day. So, what are you going to signal today?